I'm Diane Miller, Director of Community Relations at the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. Today we're doing a Spark interview with legendary pit crew chief Joey Knuckles.
Well, I started in NASCAR when I was 9 years old with Walter Ballard and his family. And we ended up winning Rookie of the Year that year. We raced really hard, really competitive. Wasn't a whole lot of money back in it. And, you know, we were a middle pack of the field. We led some races and did pretty good. And then our little family run deal, we kind of ran out of money, so I went with to work for Terry Labonte. We won our first race in 1980, and you know, we kept winning. It was a long drive for me, so we started a deal with Neil Bonnet, and it was just a one-year deal with Raymach Racing. We won 5 races, finished third in the points, but we knew at the end of the year that Neil was going to go drive a second car for Junior Johnson with the Budweiser deal. So Raymach didn't really know if they were going to be able to even field the team without sponsorship. So I went to work over there at the 28 car with Waddell for 10 years. And with Cale Yarborough, man, we had a lot of success. We won, you know, with Buddy Baker and all. And then Robert Yates came in, and I was the crew chief there with Davey, his rookie season, and we won 2 races, and we won, let's see, 5 poles, won 2 races, and we only ran half the races, you know. So then we got cranked up, and then Oldsmobile approached me about a deal, and I went to be the crew chief for Buddy Baker in 1988. And that was going really good, but my heart was with my best friend Davey, so I went back and was the crew chief there for a while. But I was kind of stretched out, you know. I just, you know, we were learning really big things on aerodynamics and our shocks and stuff like that. So I helped get Larry McReynolds a job there, and we did really good. And then we lost Davey after winning all them races, and we got Ernie Irvin in. He drove his heart out, and then had a bad wreck in practice at Michigan. So we kind of floundered around there, and Dale Jarrett quit Mr. Gibbs to come and drive for us till Ernie got better. So Dale did such a good job, you know, Robert put a deal together with Ford to run a second team. And that's what you see behind me right here, was a car that Dale Jarrett won with down here. So I've had a really good career. I'm very thankful of the France family. Daytona's like a second home. I actually know Daytona better than I do Charlotte, where I live.
What was your introduction to motorsports?
Well, my mom said that I come out of the hospital and I'm in the infield in Charlotte. So, and then you know, you know, growing up with the Ballards and all that, that was I remember coming through the tunnel out here for the first time, and I mean, I'm like, what are we going to do here? You know, because we'd been running the short tracks and stuff like that, but I remember coming in here in '71, and we actually missed the race in '71 and still won Rookie of the Year. I don't know how we did that. And then we came back the next year, and Walter turned upside down in the tri-oval, and that was a big fan favorite. Do it again.
What are some highlights from your time working with Davey Allison?
You know, we grew up together at the racetrack, and we had this area for the drivers and the owners and the mechanics. It was called the paddock. And what, you know, wherever we went, we had drivers. If that was their home track, they would kind of furnish the food for a lot of people. So they would allow us to go and set the pits up, and depending on what racetrack, we could get in the garage. If not, we had to take the car out of the garage. So Davey and I became pretty close. We did a lot of stuff together, and he was staying with me some in Charlotte, up on Lake Norman. And Cale Yarborough informed us that he was going to leave the team, and we needed a driver. And I said, well, I got this kid eating me out of house and home. Let's plug him in. He's cheap. And we came down here, and we didn't have a sponsor. And we didn't have the fancy uniforms or stuff like that. But what we had a lot of grit, and it had been a long winter. And we sat on the outside pole and ran really good in the race. We broke a jack, brand new jack in the pits. So, you know, it was kind of tough when I did that deal with Buddy Baker. But Oldsmobile at the time, they had a chassis dyno pulled down. They had a lot of stuff that Ford was trying to, you know, work around. So I learned a tremendous amount going to Oldsmobile, and Buddy kind of retired. So, you know, I went back home. Robert bought the team from Mr. Rainier, and we had Texaco as a sponsor and Ford. But yeah, I mean, we would go out and we'd leave the racetrack here at Daytona, and we'd go over here in the parks and whatever and play basketball, this, that, and the other thing. And the guy says, man, what are y'all doing? What do y'all smell like, you know, engine oil or something? And Davey says, y'all be here tomorrow. I'm gonna pick you up. I'm gonna take you, show you what we do. So there was about 10 kids out there, and we come by in the van. We loaded them up in the van, took them inside the racetrack, got them all passes and everything, and fed them. And they got to go around the racetrack in the pace car before the race started. And that's just what he was all about. He's, you know, he cares more for somebody, you know, than he did himself.
Can you tell us a little bit about the car that's behind you, please?
This chassis was built by Mike Laughlin, August of 1991. Still got the records on it. There's serial numbers on the front subframe. This car was too good to be true. I mean, we tested it, and it would run good, and Davey loved it and raced it hard. And when we lost Davey, we got Ernie in it. But we have developed our whole program a little bit more. So this thing just kind of set in the side. So when we put this team together with Todd Parrott as crew chief, came down here and tested, but we didn't have a new car ready for him. Everything happened so late in the year. So Todd we put this body on this car and came down and ran it. And Ernie was back, and so we had our two cars back. And this car actually won the Busch Clash over here. And then, you know, once we started working and stuff like that, but this is a very gem here. I'd really like to put, you know, the 92 Thunderbird body with it, because it's still got Davey Allison's seat. Davey Allison put all the gauges and all that stuff. It's got, he was an employee. He would come and work on the car. You know, if I get the fishing pole or the gun out of his hand. You know, he was an outdoor man. He did, you know, and so yeah, this is. I was so happy to come down here and see this car, and then all the guys at Robert Yates in the engine shop, the chassis shop, in the body shop guys. I mean, it's just so nice to come here and see, you know, some of their work. You know, some of the fruits of our labor. I mean, the motor right here, I could probably fire this thing up right now, drive it out there and get on the track. But yeah, sure do miss Robert Yates. Doug's doing a great job in the engine shop, him and Mr. Roush. So, and I'm really happy where our sport's headed to with this new car. It's going to be even safer, and I think the cost of it's going to really be better, and we're going to draw more manufacturers. I mean, we only have 3 right now. You know, 10 years ago, we had 8. You know, so we get the cost down, and it's a new car that the engineers are pretty much familiar with. Audi, Volkswagen, everybody's familiar, you know, with the new car. NASCAR's done a really good job, and they didn't jump into it too quick.
tell me a little bit about yourself. You do everything when it came to that automobile. And what does it take to be a crew chief?
Today, to be a crew chief, you really have to have mechanic skills, and you really have to be, you know, an engineer, because you have to really, the engineer relays the information to the mechanic, and the crew chief is over here absorbing all the information. Now, what we have now is we have a command base. Say Richard Childress, they got their command base, okay? So they're sitting there watching it on TV. They can monitor a lot of things, and they will help the crew chief. They will send him information, okay? Who pitted? What, you know, how close are we here? Okay, so they're constantly monitoring the competition and feeding the crew chief the information there. So the crew chief has to be a really good strategist. You got to go to a casino once in a while and be a gambler. You know, you just can't sit there and hold on 16 all the time.
Drawing on your career in motorsports, what advice will you give young people trying to achieve their goals?
Start early. You know, put the video games down. Go out there and get dirty. Go to your local short track. See if that's what you want to do. You know, sleep in the back seat of your car. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. But I'm proof of the pudding that you can take a little old kid out of a little old neighborhood and be somebody.
Could you tell me a little bit about what you're doing now?
I'm VP of Driver Communication for Stock Car Fan Nation. It's a new company out there that Robert Wilson has started, and we've had a tremendous success, and we've just got started. So anybody that you can go on Stock Car Fan Nation's website, pull up anything. There's a lot of information, and you know we're not just in NASCAR. You know we got modified guys. We got stuff going all along. So I'm privileged to have the job. You know I've been in the sport 50 years. You know, and it's been good to me. I mean, I should have got killed 2 or 3 times on pit road before we had pit road speed. You know, but I've never had a broke bone. I mean, I'm like, man, come on. You know, I used to tournament water ski. I think that's what kept me going was that. And then playing softball on Tuesday night with a bunch of the guys. So, but I'm so happy to have known Bill France, Senior, Junior, Lisa, and when I see Jim, I'm gonna give him a big hug on how good of a job he's doing.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No. This is it's my girl here though. I mean, we put this thing actually stayed as a 28 car at my house for 7 months one time, because our shop, we only had room for 4 cars in it, and one of them was in the body shop, one of them was in the fab shop, so we just had room for 2 cars out in the shop to where we could assemble. So I always had a car at my house, you know. And then Robert says, man, you look, what'd you do last night? Worked. He said, on what? Our Talladega car. Well, oh, yeah, you got that car there. I said, dude, well, just give me the motor and I'll put it in at the house. We'll have to move a whole lot of stuff around. That's just what we did. You know, we had fun. I mean, we would leave Atlanta, which was our last race, and they would meet us down here with a brand new car, and we would test down here as much as they would let us. And if we weren't here, we were at Talladega, or we went over here to New Smyrna. So when we came to the racetrack, I mean, I worked with Waddell Wilson and Robert Yates, and They grew up working for Lee Holman and Ralph Moody, Holman Moody. And every breath they took was for the Daytona 500. So, I mean, and it showed. We won, 7 Daytona 500s. That's, with the, different drivers and all, different crew chiefs, but, but I remember we were down here, in '86, and, the fans are on their feet, they're jumping up and down, and he's racing up there for the lead, and we ended up winning that thing. And Robert wouldn't go to Victory Lane, because he said there's not enough room for 2 cars in Victory Lane, and he was kind of questionable about doing that deal, and his wife got him, took him down there, but he just wanted to hang out, because we'd crashed with Ernie. He got caught up in, I think that's when the hood went up in the grandstand or something, back in the backstretch. But yeah, man, just all y'all fans, jump on Stock Car Fan Nation. It's a really, really good deal. Just give Melissa a call up there and tell her I sent you, and I'll get all your information. And I'd like to do this interview on our website, to where we both companies can help one another. And if y'all get a chance, you got to come in here and see what's inside this museum. I don't care if you're a motorcycle fan, boat fan, IndyCar fan. I mean, it's here. There's something. When you got a guitar in here that's about worth much of my house. Well, I think I'm gonna go fishing.
I think you should.
Yeah,
But
do
I
it.
have to wait. I have to ask you, can you just say, what was the highlight of your career? Can you sum up the highlight of your career?
The highlight of my career was when we finished 5th with Walter Ballard, and we had just put our very first new car together since we had started in '71. So this was in '76, and we finished 2 laps down and finished 5th, and that was our very first top 5 finish. And that was so huge for us. We were actually able to pay the chassis off, get some of our bills caught up. Like I said, it was a family-run deal. Walter drove the car, and you had 3 kids that were doing all the work on it.
So the years, you had a passion for it, a drive for it.
It's all I wanted to do. I mean, I was, all I wanted to do. And we went to Rockingham. We had 5 of us were 13 and 1 of us was 15. And they had the Rockingham pit crew race. And man, we'd been practicing, man, we were ready to go. We actually had cheerleaders behind our pits from school. Man, we were ready. We all lined up. So Walter's in the car, and he goes around the racetrack, and he comes down pit road, and Bill Jr. walks out and stops him, goes over there and shuts the car off. He said, these kids have to be 16. They don't have a NASCAR license, and our insurance will not allow them to perform. Whew, what a letdown, man. But we showed them. I got them back when I was crew chief for KO. I got them, the Ballards, back, Clint, Stoney, and Danny, and we did some marvelous things. And they grew up just like I did with Davey, so it was we had a pack. But yeah, I was just. You ever want to say you're at the right place at the right time? And because I wasn't going to make it, playing football or basketball or nothing like that. I was, where I grew up, everybody wanted to work for the power company or the phone company to be able to survive. Or you were 3rd or 4th generation farmer that somebody owned 200 or 300 acres of land, and when it was time to harvest, you couldn't go to school because you had to get in there and work. But yeah, man, NASCAR blood, that's all I got.
You were 16 when you won Rookie of the Year, you were saying?
16, the Randy Owens Memorial Award that they gave out, you know, for young mechanics and all that, you know, I won that. Mechanic of the Year was a good thing for me. But, you know, I've had, I think, 16 different ball cards. You can Google Joey Knuckles, NASCAR trading cards or something. But, you know, I gave all the money or any of my trade, I gave it to the driver's wife's auxiliary. And that was, Richard Petty's wife was over that. And what we did is we raised money for, like, if a driver got hurt or they were down and out or a crewman got hurt, that we could go in there and we had money and take care of it. So all my trophies and all that stuff, it got auctioned off to, you know, real good cause at Victory Junction. A lot of my stuff went to that. And Stock Car Fan Nation is going to be, you know, a part of that also. We're definitely supporting Kyle on his venture there. Well, I think I'm going to go fishing.